This is After the Flag, bringing you the full rundown on the first full-length Grand Prix, the first Sunday action of the 2023 MotoGP season. My name's Louis Suddaby. Joining me as always to pick the bones on the Grand Prix that we have just watched is Simon Crafar. Fascinating Grand Prix that we saw in the end, Simon. In many ways, the pre-season picture that we thought we had going into the season, with Ducati having the edge of Aprilia as perhaps the nearest challengers to them, that was really borne out in what we saw today.
I think you put that perfectly, and I would go a little bit further and say, the first, was it 5 bikes, Italian bikes, which that paints the picture we saw. And remember, I've been saying all pre-season testing, I'm waiting to see which of the other 3 manufacturers jumps out of the hole and gets competitive. And we saw it today, we saw it yesterday, we saw it Friday. KTM have been the first, I know there's a long way to go, it's only one, but it's the first signs that they are. And remember, we've spoken all pre-season testing that all the ingredients was there. The riders liked the aero, they liked the new engine, they liked the new chassis, and we hadn't seen the result. And this weekend we did. So, and we also saw the result of Honda, where they are, and Yamaha, where they are.
Yeah, we'll get into them each specifically as we go through the show. Marc Marquez, we were on board with, starting from pole position. His race would go wrong very, very quickly. We'll discuss that incident very, very shortly. But in terms of the sprint that we saw yesterday, of course, the 12-lap dash won by Bagnaia on the final lap from Jorge Martin. Today was really the first opportunity we saw in a full-length race to truly see where everybody was. And in the end, the Aprilias were so strong towards the end of the sprint yesterday, but in the end, Bagnaia, that consistency, that ultimate consistency that he had, in the end, Maverick Vinales tried as he might, was able to match him, but ultimately not beat him.
Yes, and what a shame we didn't get to see what Miguel Oliveira could do at the end of the race, whether he could match him, because I think there was a very good chance, Who knows who would have been fastest at the end of the race out of Miguel and Maverick Vinales. Would have been really interesting. We're going to get into the Marc thing, I guess, but we saw the 2 incidents just there. Marc went in too hot, pretty much on purpose early on to get the pass, the overtake, and he ran wide, then came back on line, hit, Jorge Martin, and then did the same sort of thing a few laps later, but with a lot of traffic in front, and we'll pick the bones out of that when you want, but I'm not at all happy with it.
Yes, Pecco Bagnaia was the major beneficiary, I suppose, of that. He was the right side of that particular incident. He was just ahead of it and was able to pull a bit of an advantage up at the front, and of course that left the path clear for Maverick Vinales to move through into second place and take the fight to Bagnaia. Let's talk about that incident then. It was the key moment of the race, of course, because it was the riders in 2nd, 3rd and 4th that were ultimately taken out of contention. Martin did remount, but ultimately crashed out of 10th place later on. We did see Marc Marquez successfully put a move like that on the very first lap of the Grand Prix. He lost the lead and was able to steam up the inside again into turn 3. Obviously allowed Oliveira through on the outside of the corner. But your view on the incident and the aggression of Marc Marquez, which is what makes him the great rider that he is, but did he perhaps go a little bit over the limit today?
Exactly. We love what Marc does. I loved what he did in qualifying. It was unbelievable. Then what he did in the sprint race, again, fantastic effort. But that to me was careless riding, and I hope Freddie and the guys upstairs really give him a tough time about it. Like, to me, long lap penalty is not enough. I'd be sending him from pit lane in the next race. But look, it's horrific, because all riders, they all know they have responsibility for the safety of the other guys ahead when there's a big group like that. See, it's clearly a big group ahead. You cannot go in too fast like he did earlier and duck through and run wide. And to me, that was out of control. And that's the reason I feel so strong about the penalty. And the only thing that I can say in Marc Marquez's defence, and I've thought of everything, and that is everything that I can think of, is Honda are partly responsible, because he is a fighter, he's a champion, and like I said at the very first test in Malaysia, because Honda are not competitive right now to be up the front, he feels the responsibility to whip that bike so hard and take the risks to do it. And he's done it all weekend successfully, but overstepped the mark there.
Yeah, perhaps in some ways an exaggerated example of what we saw from Fabio Quartararo last season, who was overriding the Yamaha to try and make that fit, and we saw mistakes from him in the latter part of the season.
Not like
Marquez, not like that, of course. Marc Marquez is currently speaking to Race Direction, so we await a ruling on that. If we get that while we're live on air, we'll bring the news of any sanction that Marc Marquez may suffer to you. One other line to bring you on Mark. We believe he suffered a suspected broken right thumb, so he may potentially have to pass a medical check to be declared fit for the Argentinian Grand Prix next weekend. Let's talk about the riders then who did finish on the podium in the end. Marco Bezzecchi was promoted up the order and ended up finishing in third place as a result of that. His second season in MotoGP, one podium last season, of course, in that Dutch TT at Assen, but whatever happened with the riders in front of him taken out of play, his race pace, which, to be fair, we got a glimpse of on Friday that Marco Bezzecchi had the race pace, and he underlined it today.
Yeah, well, we got a really clear glimpse of it in the test. I remember reporting that his sprint simulation was fantastic. He was low 39s the whole way, and he went out there in the long race today, and the race today, and replicated that the whole way. He even went a little bit faster, got into the 38s. Just the way I'd sum up what I've seen of Marco Bezzecchi so far in his career is Lorenzo-like speed and consistency. He can bang those laps out. When you meet him, you'd never think he could do that. You know, he's so laid back, and then he does this beautiful job of just being able to, if you watch the clock, it's amazing, which means such accuracy, skill, and it's especially impressive because he's so young and inexperienced. So to me, he's showing the likeliness of being a real star.
Yeah, real star in the making. A very, very popular rider in MotoGP is Marco Bezzecchi. Third place for him today to start the season. Didn't go his way in the sprint yesterday. Of course, both he and his teammate Luca Marini crashed out earlier on. But a podium on his first Sunday of 2023. Let's hear from Marco Bezzecchi now, speaking to Matt Birt.
Marco, congratulations. The ideal way to bounce back from the disappointment of the crash in the sprint race yesterday, the podium in the main race. You had fantastic pace throughout. You must be so happy.
Yeah, it was a very good race. I didn't expect to go so fast, honestly, but as soon as I passed Jack, I had to risk a little bit to pass him, but my front tire was going very up. So I said, okay, I need to pass now or never. So I tried, and fortunately it was good. And after that moment, as soon as I took some fresh air, I could improve a lot my lap times, and I was also in 38. I was very surprised in the straight when I saw the lap time, but this gave me the possibility to escape from the riders behind. And honestly, I was looking to Maverick, and I said, I try to catch him, I try, but they were a little bit faster in the end. Anyway, I'm very, very happy. The team made something incredible, so thanks to them.
This looks very positive, Marco, for the whole season. We know you've had the upgrade on the GP22, which won the World Championship with Pecco last year. Today's result and the weekend in general and the winter testing, it must give you a lot of confidence that there's going to be many podiums in 2023 for you.
Well, I hope, of course. You know, the bike is for sure is better compared last year. Is a big step. It's nothing crazy, the difference, but help in the riding. So as soon as I tried, I felt this. Then, you know, the target is to try to be consistent. Of course, I don't expect to be fighting always for the podium, because still I need to improve in many areas of the riding. But there are some tracks where I'm closer and some tracks where I'm a little bit more far. I will try to be closer also in the tracks.
You said you were pushing Maverick. You kept trying for that second place, but where was perhaps he just that little bit stronger, or was it just a case of the fact that you pushed so hard to get to third, you just ran out of grip?
Yeah, when I saw that the gap with Alex Marquez was 0, I said, okay, I have to push, and I make like 7-8 laps pushing really hard. In fact, I was in 38, and I open a gap. But then when I start to try to manage the rear tire, even pushing. But Maverick in that part was maybe a little bit stronger. So to try to escape, I finished the tire. I don't know.
And just finally, Marco, you were behind quite a big incident in the first part of the race involving Marc Marquez, Jorge Martin, and then Miguel Oliveira. From your point of view, can you tell us what you saw?
Honestly, I saw just some smoke, and I didn't understood in that particular moment who was. I saw Mark because his color is very easy to see, the orange fluo. Well, you know, corner 3 is a little bit bastard because you just brake 5 meters later and you don't stop at all. So it's easy to make some mistakes, especially when you are in the group and you try maybe to overtake. You can make some mistakes, but you know, in the first laps, to be such aggressive is sometimes a bit dangerous, but it's something also that can happen. I don't want to say nothing to this, it's just racing.
Marco, fantastic job by you today, fantastic job by the team. I'm sure the boss is very happy as well. So enjoy the celebrations and enjoy the long trip to Argentina next week.
Thank you very much, guys. Ciao tutti.
Thanks to Marco Bezzecchi, third place today, and giving us his view on the incident between Marc Marquez, Miguel Oliveira and Jorge Martin. Marco Bezzecchi exemplifying what we've been speaking about for all the winter, the strength in depth that Ducati has at the moment. So many strong bikes, but of course so many strong riders on those bikes as well. You just look down the order today, 4 of the top 5 finishers over the line were on Ducati motorcycles, 2 of which were on the GP22. Johann Zarco with an incredible late rally to come through and finish 4th. He was around 8th with a couple of laps to go and just picked them off on the last couple of laps. And Alex Marquez as well, of course, his first Grand Prix on a Ducati, coming through and finishing in 5th place, and at one point looked as if he was going to potentially threaten the podium before Bezzecchi pulled away. But Ducati have just got an embarrassment of riches at the moment, both in terms of their motorcycle, but the quality of riders on them.
Well, the way I see it is the bike is so good that it's up to the riders to show what they can do, because the bike's there, you know. Of course, there's other things in there like a bit of luck in qualifying and bike setup, but at the end of the day, the bike's there. It's up to the rider to do the job, you know. And we, like I said, we've seen them reaping the rewards. You know, Pecco is obviously the class rider on the Ducati, and he's showing it, you know. But I got to say, Aprilia are not too far behind, and happy to see that KTM are now not too far behind that.
Yeah, we'll hear from Maverick Vinales later on. We'll hear from Pecco Bagnaia very, very shortly. Race winner today, 37 points from a possible 37, the perfect start to his season. We were saying in commentary that he's just got such an air of calm now with his title under his belt. Pecco Bagnaia, whatever's thrown at him, he's able to just take it in his stride. Having come from 91 points behind last season, he feels he can, I guess, overcome anything. But his race rhythm, which is something we saw right throughout pre-season testing, he was able to do the laps consistently on a very old tyre. And Maverick Vinales said in the cool-down before the podium that he just had no rear tyre left at the end of the Grand Prix. Bagnaia said the same, but ultimately just had that little bit more than Maverick.
Yeah, I saw Bagnaia looking at his rear tyre and then motioned to the team that it was gone. He wanted to see how what it looked like, because we're getting a replay of that. It's horrific. And look, every rider has done it, and so you know, at least once, even the very best, since we saw that replay. So yeah, you've got to forgive them, but you also got to punish them so it doesn't happen again, you know. So anyway, back to Bagnaia. He was the class rider on the Ducati, like I've already said, and he has looked like that from the very first day back on the bike in Malaysia, and showed it here. So he's really just got to stay out of trouble, stay on the bike, and even from the first race, he's looking like the favourite. But look what happened to his teammate. Anything can happen.
It is still a long, long season. 20 Grand Prix weekends to go, of course, with 20 sprints to come on the Saturday afternoon. So the next time we go racing in MotoGP will be in just 6 days' time on Saturday afternoon in Argentina. Pecco Bagnaia will go there as the World Championship leader. He does the double in Portimao. Let's hear from him following his Sunday Grand Prix victory with Matt Birt.
Well, I think a word we're going to use a lot in 2023 to describe this young man in front of us, Pecco Bagnaia, is perfect. Pecco, you said the winter was perfect, your preparation was perfect, the sprint yesterday was perfect. And what can we say about your race today here in the main race on Sunday? Everything looked like it was perfect once again.
Sincerely, I'm very happy. Very happy. We have done the perfect job for sure. Only missed the pole position, but was the same starting from the front row. I'm happy. My feeling with the new bike is incredible. My team have worked perfectly. At home, we have worked perfectly to be ready to be prepared for this kind of schedule. So was a different circumstances this race because we had the test here, so we were already prepared. But in any case, let's see. In 1 week we will be in Argentina. It will be a new track with this new layout. So let's see there. In any case, I think the new bike have a really great potential. We are very strong, and my riding style suits more to this bike. So everything in this moment is perfect. So let's try to continue like this.
It looked like quite a difficult start. You got the initial launch, but then you got sort of sandwiched between both Jorge and Mark. Just talk us through that, because it looked like you had to just close the throttle a little bit.
Yeah, I had to close the throttle because Mark was wheeling, so was going a bit in my way. Jorge was straight, so I was closed, and I had to close gas. But in any case, I just tried to start braking hard in the first corner, braking hard in corner 3, where Mark already was a bit wide, touching Jorge. And I used that mistake to be in front again, to be third again. For sure, was a bit jungle again. I saw the videos. So it's when yesterday everyone were saying the sprint race is a jungle, more or less was the same of today. So 25 laps of 12 laps with soft and medium are not in the same way to be a jungle or not. It depends from the approach of each rider. So this is the biggest difference, I think.
Against though, you were the king of the jungle, but you had to work very, very hard for it. Maverick Vinales was very, very strong on the Aprilia. I mean, every lap you came over the line, it must have been plus 0.5, plus 0.6, number 12. I mean, he really did fight hard and push you, didn't he, today?
I pushed a lot because I was knowing that he was fast. But I was sure that my pace, being constantly dropping a bit, was going a bit faster every lap was enough to open a gap then, and it was, because then I saw that I was 1.3. Then I understand that he was doing a cool down to push again, so I just take calm to do the same thing and push it again the last laps. But I was finished the tires too, so in the last laps was a bit difficult, but we managed to win, and it was perfect.
And we're in Portugal, where we know their sporting superstar is Cristiano Ronaldo. We saw the celebration afterwards. Was that for you, the fans, or for Fabio?
Yeah, but when it's normal when the idol here is yet to make tribute to the idols, the country idols. So Fabio had the same idea 3 years ago, I think, 2 years ago.
2021, yeah.
And I think was correct to do the same.
So maybe next weekend, if you win Argentina, you have to do something for Leo Messi, yeah?
Maybe. We have to bring some Argentinian t-shirt.
Pecco, fantastic weekend. The dream start for you here in Portugal. We'll look forward to seeing you in Argentina next week.
Thank you very much.
A superb victory then for Pecco Bagnaia, to use the Cristiano Ronaldo pun. And again, just the calm that he and Ducati are bringing into this season. You know, Pecco Bagnaia described it as a jungle out there. He was the lord of the jungle today. He was able to just keep his head when everything was going on around him. But if we think back to last season, Ducati came into the new season. They weren't exactly comfortable. They didn't exactly have their 2022 package refined until a couple of races into the season, which left Pecco Bagnaia playing catch-up. But they're reaping the benefits now of having a motorcycle that was already nigh on perfect end of last season, and they've been able to move the game on again this season.
Yes, completely. But also I think they learnt from their mistake last year, trying to do too much, with the front ride height device and trying to make more power, which only made more wheel spin. This time they've just done it more carefully, more reserved, and it's really worked. Also, I think Pecco, from everything I've watched in the last few years, he's quite sensitive. So, meaning if you change things around, he'll go. He wants to keep it the same and get the most from himself, and that's not rare. I've worked with quite a few riders the same. I'd just like to say, I want to know if you agree. He's such a class guy, isn't he? Both on the bike right now, showing what he can do lap after lap after lap, faster than pretty much everyone in most sessions, but also he's a class act off the bike.
Speaks very, very well, doesn't he, Pecco Bagnaia, and he underlined it again there. He heads to the Argentinian Grand Prix in a week's time, the leader of the World Championship with a 12-point lead over Maverick Vinales. How much positivity will Aprilia take out of this weekend then, with Maverick Vinales in second place today, finishing within a second of Pecco Bagnaia? We expected Pecco Bagnaia to potentially dominate this weekend. Can't exactly say he dominated today's race, even though he led for a large part of it. Vinales always kept him on his toes, and they were so strong in the sprint yesterday. Of course, they were just out of position, arguably, on the grid. But Vinales surely will feel he's got a real opportunity to. He's got a bike he feels surely he can win with on occasions this season.
Yes, and he's pretty much said that in the debrief. So I was at his debrief last night, and he was quite exuberant about how good the bike is and how he likes it in most areas. They're still working on a few little things, but he's very positive. I think Aprilia are going to be really happy. That is a fantastic start. I think they'll be disappointed about Oliveira because it could have been as good, you know, having two bikes, possibly even on the podium, you know. I would like to say that from Maverick Vignale point of view, from my point of view about Maverick, I was worried coming in this year because I feel it's Maverick's last year to prove what he can do. And I'm super glad that he's come out from the first race and shown us already.
Yeah, of course, Aprilia now heading to a Grand Prix weekend and a circuit that they triumphed at last season. Aleix Espargaro, of course, won at Tomás Rio Hondo 1 year ago. Let's hear from Maverick Vinales following his second place. He's with Matt.
Maverick, many congratulations on the podium here today in Portugal. All weekend we knew you had the potential for this, and you were unlucky in the sprint yesterday, but today you made amends. You pushed Pecco so hard. We can see the smile on your face. You really had to work hard for that podium today.
Yeah, I work hard, and well, what can I say? I'm really proud of Aprilia, all my crew. They worked really hard all the weekend. A shame in the sprint because I think we had the pace to win it. But anyway, the real race was today. I'm happy. I tried to put Pecco under pressure. I tried a few laps to push, do 2 or 3 qualifying laps, see, but he made no mistake, and he was really good. So just say congratulations to them. And just working. Our objective is fighting in the front every weekend, and if we take out the maximum of our Aprilia, we will be there.
Maverick, perhaps a criticism of the last couple of years of you has been the starts and the first laps, but you've been working so hard in the winter to make sure you're starting better and perhaps being a little bit more aggressive in those first laps, and it's working because Pecco Bagnaia just told us the sprints and the main race are jungles.
Yeah, honestly, today I start with the elbows out. I say, okay, today I pass everyone. I will not let anyone pass. Because yesterday some riders just pushed me out in turn 5 and I lost the opportunity to win the race there. Yeah, quite impressive turn 3. Was tight there. I was very close to Mark and I was seeing all the action. And after that I tried to concentrate to go for Pecco. And yeah, we follow quite a lot. But yeah, I will not say in a jungle. I will say that everyone is going aggressive. You know, every position matters, and we need to fight. So that's the thing right now. You need to go aggressive.
We did see you looking at the monitor of the incident with Marc Marquez, Jorge Martin, and Miguel Oliveira. What did you see on the circuit, Maverick?
I brake very late on that break. I was behind. I said they don't make the corner because I brake late, and I see Marc was going inside, but then Jorge closed the door. So he touched Jorge and then he left the brake. Otherwise, they crash all 3. How is Miguel?
I think he's got some contusions to his right leg. I think the X-rays are okay, but yeah,
okay,
it was a big hit. Yeah.
Yeah. He's okay. I mean, when I saw the hit, I said, "Woof, Miguel, he's gonna have a big pain." But yeah, I'm happy also because Miguel is in the front. Aleix was strong. So yeah, as Aprilia, we are working quite well.
Yeah, and the Aprilia Vinales combination was very strong this weekend. Maverick, let's not forget we're going to Argentina next weekend, where Aleix and the Aprilia won last year. You like Termas, you like Austin as well. With your feeling on the bike now, your new crew chief, I mean, you must feel like that first win is not too far away.
Look, our objective is to fight in the front, to take out the maximum from our bike each day. That's the target. If I do that, even if I win or not, I will be happy, as today. So yeah, that's our target, and it will arrive. I'm completely sure that the victory will arrive.
Enjoy the long flight down
to
Argentina. Yeah. Well done.
Very long.
Great job, mate.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
we wish Maverick Vinales well on his flight to Argentina, and a very class touch there, checking on the condition of Miguel Oliveira, who, as Matt mentioned there, we can confirm looks to avoid any serious injuries. He's just got a great outlook on life, but also on MotoGP as Maverick Vinales, and that reunion, if you want to call it that, with his former crew chief of Suzuki, bearing fruit immediately.
Yes. Manu Casal, who's moved from Alex Rins back to work with Maverick. I mean, Suzuki stopped, so he had no choice but to go somewhere else. And I spoke to Manu, and I know Manu really well. He says Maverick has so much talent, and he really enjoys trying to get that talent out of him and give him what he needs to do it. And we're seeing it already. And Maverick is a star. If Manu can keep him on the right track, give him what he wants, we're going to see more of this, and people will be worried. Until now, Maverick hasn't been able to show that. He shows glimpses of his brilliance, which we all know is in there. And if he can get that consistently, he's going to be dangerous.
As mentioned, 4 Ducatis in the top 5 today, with Joan Zarco taking 4th in the end, despite feeling a little under the weather all weekend. Alex Marquez in 5th. In 6th and 7th is where we found the factory KTMs, and it kind of tells us how our perception of them has changed over the weekend. That in some ways, I was thinking at the end of the race, slightly disappointed with that. I thought they were going to do a little bit better in the end, because they were running higher than that in the race. But if we think back to where they were in testing, where they didn't look as if they were in good shape at all, I guess this weekend has told us never to write KTM off, because they've clearly made a step. Where did that step come from?
Well, we've seen, again, I'll repeat, over testing, over winter, that KTM and Aprilia, to me, were the hardest workers. They've come with the most amount of new stuff, the most amount of new stuff that their riders like, so successful things. But Aprilia, we saw the result, and KTM we didn't, and it was a real head scratcher. I was like, why? And this weekend we saw it, and not just on Jack, which was sad for Brad all this weekend until the race, because Brad has been injured neck-wise, and I felt sorry for him. And then Brad just pulled it out, did the job in the race like he always does. And I've got to say, I'm really happy, because we need another manufacturer competitive with the Italians to make the race better, and they have really closed the gap. I believe that they're going to be there. Yeah, there'll be some circuits that they don't figure out all this new stuff at, and they'll struggle, but I believe they really have closed the gap on the Italians, and they're going to finish well regularly.
A weekend to forget for Fabio Quartararo. He was 8th today, so just 8 points to come from that first weekend for him. But a weekend to remember for Ducati and Pecco Bagnaia. The first weekend, the brand new format. The sprint went the way of the world champion on Saturday, and the full-length 25-lap Grand Prix today was also won by the reigning world champion. Pecco takes his perfect start to Argentina next weekend. We look forward to your company then. But from now, myself and Simon, we say goodbye to you.